I love when coaches, consultants, and professional service providers want to do big things in their business. They want to rise to the top and influence their market and the world around them. They want to have a greater impact and make a more lucrative income. Well, if this is you, welcome to Expert in You podcast, the show where I interview other experts and coaches, consultants, so that they can share their success strategies with you. We're going to talk about marketing and how to close more sales, how to get more premium clients, and how to really build your visibility in the market and scale your business like a boss. If this is you, welcome to the show. I want to ask you to subscribe and hit the notification bell right now so you don't miss one episode. Grab your coffee and buckle up because we are ready to give it all to you to help you become the expert and get paid as the expert that you are. Welcome back to the show again this week. I am very excited about my guest, Derlene Hirtz, who is doing some just amazing things out there to help coaches, consultants, professionals, business owners, anyone that really needs to increase their sales, change their mindset, have higher success, and just be seen as the top of their industry. Darlene, welcome to my show. How are you?
I am freaking phenomenal, Anne. Thank you.
I love it. I love the enthusiasm. So, Darlene, I'm going to just let you introduce yourself and just tell everyone what you are doing out there in the world. You have a lot going on. She's doing really incredible things. So tell everyone what it is you do, what your business is all about, and then we'll dive in.
Okay, sure. Thank you. I work with business entrepreneurs and business professionals who are truly seeking to uplevel their success. So I like the go-getters. I like the ones who are really focused on success. They are wanting to step up their game, not talking them into anything or something like that, but all about really like, hey, I know that I'm going to level up, got something on my way, not sure what it is. I call it the missing piece. And I work with clients who are ready to discover what that missing piece is. I believe I have it. And we go through our training and our coaching, and they come out on the other side ready to take on whatever it is they choose.
Great. So what do you actually do? I know that that's who you work with and what you do, but what is your the modality that you really use?
So I'm an NLP trainer and master coach. I've been studying NLP for the last 6 or 7 years, became addicted to it, if you would, in the sense of I was using, neuro-linguistics programming. I should probably start by telling you what NLP is. And it is, I will tell you, the scientific version is the science and study of human excellence. The Darlene version is freedom from the binds of the past and the freedom to create the future that we dream, desire, and deserve. So that's sort of the way that I would introduce NLP. We teach all kinds of modalities and techniques that we can use for ourselves, our self-growth, and then for the growth of people out in our world, in our sphere, if you will, like if you're a coach or another trainer or something like that. NLP is a great, great, great tool to have in your toolbox for that. And so I train using that modality. I love it. And then I also do coaching through it.
Fantastic. So really, she helps people get more success, and she really does work with the thinking and really how they're talking to themselves and the decisions they're making and all of those kinds of things, digging deep into mindset and helping them apply the tools that they've learned in NLP. Is that correct?
100%. Yes.
All right.
It's all mindset with me.
And she's had some amazing results with clients as well, which we will talk a little bit more about. So, Darlene, what makes NLP for most coaches and consultants and people that have been online for any length of time? They see NLP all over the place. They see multiple NLP programs. They feel like they could probably, do so many of them. What makes yours different?
So what makes me different in the way that we train is that it's a live training. It's not the academics only. It is the actual transformation of the person involved in the class itself. So we call it organic, right? It's a very organic class. And, you can have all the knowledge in the world, right? And knowledge is great, but when it's knowledge and action, that's where the real power comes from. So that's what we focus on, is not just academics, but the live transformation of using the tools and techniques.
Great. So she does do local trainings now, although you have a training coming up and you are doing some virtual. You're doing some Zooms there as well. Okay.
October 29th, we have a it's a live boot camp, but we're going to Zoom it in as well, because we've got some folks who want to join us in other places.
Yes. So starting to move that direction where you can pick or choose. So that's important. So, and here's the thing. Different trainers in NLP are going to have their different way of teaching and their things that they apply and implement into their programs that have maybe come from their past, or the things that they've experienced that other people won't. So it really is going to come down to a lot of it. All the programs are different. They are all going to be different. You're not going to see the same things from one to the next. Is that fair?
That's very fair. One of the other things that I should mention that we do is we focus on the entire life wheel, like career, family, finances, love, or romance, however it is, all of the life wheels. There's 8 different components, and focus on every single one of them, because reality is what happens in one of the pieces of pie shows up in the other piece of pie, and it just becomes a cycle. And so it's all about breaking that pattern or that habit so that we can then move them forward.
Fantastic. All right. So how did you get into this, Darlene? I know my listeners are going to want to know. You have quite a story, so I'm going to just give you the mic to talk.
Okay. Well, thank you. So I was a religion teacher and a PE teacher, and then I was a director for religious education. And, things started happening in my life that now I know that it was the pathway that God was setting before me. But there kept being these little, I don't know how I can say it, the itty bitty shitty committee firing off in my head that was pushing me forward. And then I would stop, because there's this thing called fear that would get in the way of everything I wanted to do. It seemed like fear would show up. And whenever I the way that I would say it is that I would try to step out of the box that I felt like I was in. And every time I did, it was almost be like I got tasered, and I'd go back in, and one day, so, if you don't solve whatever's going on, it keeps coming back at you, because your unconscious mind is like, I need you to learn from this so that we can take the next journey. And I guess the final straw was when my son went to Afghanistan for the first time, and I hit a wall. I did not know how to deal with that fear. I had nothing in my toolbox that would allow that to happen. And I literally said, God, I'm done. If today's the day you want me, I'm yours for the taking. And, I like to tease that, I like to tell God how to do it right. And so then in my very next thought was, well, what if God doesn't choose that? Then what? And I literally said that out loud to myself. And that's when I picked up the phone that changed my life forever. And I made a call to a woman who became my coach. And then I asked her, I'm like, how did this happen so fast? How was it 2 months ago? I was like telling God, hey, I'm yours for the taking. And today I am like, I have so many dreams and planning an entirely different future. And she said, well, it's this process called NLP. And so I asked her about it, and then decided that it was worth me traveling out to California to take the training and come back. And, when you take the trainings, you're part of that live transformation, and came back with a whole new, I don't know, what can you say, an attitude adjustment, a whole new shift.
It's amazing how that can happen. I love that. And you actually brought something up too, right before we started recording this. And you said a shift can happen at the drop of a dime. And I love that. And really that can happen over and over again. And so it sounds like that happened way back when. That was many years ago, over 5 years. You've been doing NLP training and all that for 5 years? So
Yes. So that probably was about 7, 8 years ago that happened.
Mm-hmm.
And so the way that I look at it is that we are like layers, right? Like an onion, each layer, right? And so a layer will reveal itself, and things happen for us to learn from. I absolutely am 100% congruent saying that the reason why things happen to us is for our learning, not to keep us stuck, not to keep us plateaued. It is for us to learn. And then once we learn from them, we move forward. And then another layer reveals itself. And that's because our unconscious mind is revealing this growth to us. And for me, I believe that that is the God within at work. It is God saying, girlfriend, we got this journey ahead. You get to learn all these lessons. And then guess what you get to do? You get to go out and you get to help other people.
Help other people. That's right.
And I was like,
better.
No, it doesn't. It just like is when I have a client who has that aha moment, I just think, what could be better than this?
I totally agree. When a client says, you've changed my life, you've transformed my life, it's interesting because, I built a lot of businesses in the past, and many of my first clients in one of my businesses over 20 years ago, it's crazy how I still get people 20 plus years later say, you impacted my life. You changed my life. I'm still blown away when people come up to me that I have not seen for years and years and years and say that. It's the best place in the world to be, which is why we all do what we do, right?
100%. And the closest thing that I can relate to on that is when I run into a former student.
Yes.
And they say, oh, Mrs. Hertz, like you were the greatest PE teacher. He's now a very good friend of my daughter's, that when he saw me after 100 years or whatever, he's like, favorite PE teacher. And I'm like, oh, you're so full of it, and he just started laughing. He goes, no, seriously. He was like, you really let us play in physical education. You didn't make it about the sports. You didn't make it, like that. And I was like, I really appreciate that. That was like, what could be better than
right
back at you and tell them right. Really change their life. And
I love it. I love it. So you had that shift. You started studying NLP. You became a trainer. You help people, learn NLP so that they can apply it in their business and their life. Let's talk a little bit about some of the things that can happen as a result of going through an NLP training, because again, we're talking to coaches, consultants, professionals, professional service providers who are looking to build their business, have a better life. What are some things why would it be important to do NLP training as a piece of their own growth? I know I have not taken it. I've been considering it for a long time because for me, I believe it would make me a better coach to my clients. So often they do struggle with mindset things and things that, we have to help move them forward. And so at this point, I have to refer a lot of that business. So for me, I think it would round out. I feel like I know practically anything there is to know, not to sound arrogant, but I've built so many businesses. I've worked with so many people. I know so much about business, but the one missing piece for me, I really believe, is that I haven't done NLP training and got that extra piece, that extra skill set that could be a game changer. So talk about that a little bit. How can this improve people's business and life, and going through the training with you?
I guess the best way to explain it is just by things that have happened to me and client stories, right? So recently in one of our last trainings earlier in the year, a gentleman came into the training, and I remember specifically him saying to me when he was signing up for the boot camp, he said, he goes, I look around my colleagues and I see that they're ahead of me and I can't figure out why that is. And I want to move forward. I just can't figure out what it is that I'm not doing. I've taken this class and that class, and he went on and he said, so I'm coming to your boot camp. And I said, oh, great. That's awesome. And so he came in there for business growth. That was his whole intention. And what he found out was it all was within him, his mindset
Mm-hmm.
His previous experiences that he had had in his life, he was still dwelling on those. And he didn't know it. Like, it's totally unconscious, right? That's what I love about NLP, is that it really digs deep into the unconscious mind, which is 90% of who we are. We think our conscious mind runs our lives, but it's our unconscious mind, right?
Right.
And so he just, when I can just see, he was sitting in the front of the class, and I can just see his face drain one day when he realized that, oh my gosh, I am at the center of this.
Mm-hmm.
It is that I'm holding on to things of the past that's not even allowing me to make decisions for my future. And I get that now, and so then he started doing some of the modalities. I remember one day in particular, he had been in several relationships, and that's part of the way that I would explain it is that, how many people do you know that have had the same spouse 4 different times, just with a different face? Because they keep repeating the cycle.
Right. Because they don't fix it. Yes.
Exactly. And that's why that layer happens. It's like, hey, learn from this.
Right.
So we can move on. Well, they don't learn.
Mm-hmm.
So when the day that he realized that he loves being the hero in a relationship, and at some point that person doesn't need a hero, they need a husband. And so when he's done saving them and they don't want a hero, it doesn't work anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I can remember him sitting in class just draining when he saw that. And he was like, oh my gosh, well, now he can grow, right?
Right.
And his business has just exploded since he, the first text that I got after one of the classes, he texted me and said, I had a $6,000 day today. And that has never happened before.
Oh my goodness. Isn't that exciting? Yes.
Oh man, it just set your soul on fire.
Yeah.
And then I was sharing with you earlier, I was having the thing about a coach, we go through the same thing, right? Many times we say as coaches, our clients are our mirror image, right? We coach ourselves. So this week, I probably said 3 different times, God places people right in front of your path. When you ask for help, he just places them there. The thing is we don't pay attention, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I said that to 3 different people this week. And guess what was going on in front of this girl? God was putting all kinds of people in my path, and I was just not even paying attention. And this morning I woke up at 3:00. I was sharing this with you earlier. I woke up at 3:00 with this explosion of growth going, oh my gosh, the whole thing about your story, getting stuck in your story. I recognized that I had been still living in that story.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm totally on fire right now. My energy is like containing myself in my chair.
I want to stop you because that is one of the things when people get this, the aha and they understand now how to peel the layers, and they understand they now have the tools and the resources, which is what you help them really get. These ahas and these breakthroughs can happen. They just continue, but they come faster. And that's where you're talking about the growth and everything that happens. Is that right? Is that fair to say?
Yes, that's very fair to say. As a matter of fact, that's why I created the Extreme Breakthrough Program for a very quick result, just boom. And that is exactly what happened to me. I felt the internal shift. Mm-hmm. I embraced the learning, and now I'm like, okay, what's next? What's next? What to do now? And that is exactly how it happens is that it just goes fast. And then I got a phone call. I was sharing with you earlier. I got a phone call from a gentleman who came to a boot camp a couple of years ago, and he's like, wasn't ready.
Yeah.
Absolutely wasn't ready. And a bunch of stuff has gone on in his personal life. I knew it was showing up in his business. I've been watching him. And he called this morning and said, I'm ready. When does this happen? And
you can't help people until they are ready. There's nothing, just having, we were talking about this right before we started recording this. I said one of my early mentors was Jim Rohn, and you said, oh, I love Jim Rohn. And we were talking, I said, one of my favorite quotes from him is, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And I think too many people they're just not ready. And it's why they never see. It's why they don't see what's right in front of them or what's around them or what's available or what there are coaches out there. I mean, how can you not know there are coaches out there, right? But people don't because they're not seeking, they're not looking, they're not keeping their eyes open, but they don't, a lot of times don't have the tools. It's, yeah. So I love this.
I didn't even realize that there were coaches out there before I got involved in this. I had no idea. I thought there were therapists and there were psychiatrists.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I didn't feel like either one of those were a fit for me.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as I got a hold of a coach, it was just like, I don't know, you see the blind spots in us, right?
Yes. Yes.
Blind spots have you exposed for me?
Yes, that is so true. We cannot see everything when we're playing the game. And I know for many years building my business, I didn't even know coaches existed. Now I know they did because I talk to coaches now that have been doing it as long as I've been building businesses. I'm like, what? There were coaches 30 years ago. But the thing is, I wasn't seeking. And now we do have with technology, it has allowed us to have more exposure to things than we used to. I listened to CDs of Jim Rohn, right? They were CDs and I had to put them in my car. And that was even, he probably did 8-track tapes way back when. Right? But I wasn't seeking that growth at the time. I was just keeping my head down, doing what I needed to do, trying to build my businesses, trying to be successful, trying to not fail, all of those things. And it wasn't until I worked with my very first coach that I was like, in fact, I didn't even really know what she could do for me. I really didn't. I just knew I needed some help. She came along. She really didn't do a very good job explaining, or again, maybe my mind wasn't open enough. Mm-hmm. I just took a chance. I'm like, okay, at this point, I need some help with this new business. It's not flying the way I need it to fly. I've built all these other businesses. What is wrong here? Why am I stuck? And I hired my first coach. And in 30 days, it changed everything. And it was so amazing to me that I thought, oh my gosh, why did I not know these existed? All those years, look at the money I wasted trying to figure things out. Look at the things that could have happened. And it was what gave me the fuel to all of a sudden start, okay, how can I do this for other people? And became a student of anything and everything I could learn about business, marketing, sales. I always say I probably got 8 years of college in literally a couple of years because it was like nonstop. I just couldn't get enough, so that's what you're talking about. It ignites that growth in you when you get the tools, when you have the open mindset, when you get the breakthroughs. Is that right?
Yes. Something that you said that I'd like to expand upon is that if you are part of the problem, you cannot be part of the solution because you're in your own way. You've got some blinders on. And that's why it's so super important to surround yourself. The first question I ask a coach is, do you have a coach?
Yes.
I'm not investing in myself. Mm-hmm. Then how can I expect that my clients to do that? Right.
Right.
Because I need blind spots exposed to me constantly.
Absolutely.
Because I just am who I am. Right. And I just find such great pleasure in, like, I don't know if you call it self-torture or what, but I love it.
Well, look, we could all do it by ourselves, but and I know we're the jet plane, not the horse and buggy.
That's right.
Yeah. So it's not like you can't. But the other thing is, it goes back to, I think you said this at the very beginning, we don't know what we don't know, right? And so there's always people that are doing more. There are always people that can show us a faster path, can see what we can't see, and they just know things we don't know. I mean, that's just the reality of it. All of those things are what helps success. That's why I really believe that there are, oh gosh, I wish I could remember the numbers, Darlene. Something like there are 1,000 new millionaires every single day every single day. There are 1,000 new millionaires. Now, don't quote me because I would have to go back and look up those statistics, but it was crazy. It was a crazy number. And that is the result of what we have available to us today: coaches, technology. We're in the digital age, right? Knowledge is at fingertips, but you have to also apply all of that.
Right.
And sometimes it's almost too much, and we struggle with how to work through that and weed through that and put the pieces together. And that's why it's too slow to try to do it on your own.
Right.
And you can't see everything. So
that's why I, and I so absolutely agree with what you just said. And that's why I like to do what I do, is because that millionaire is no different than that struggling entrepreneur, right? Same product, same, I don't know, maybe even work ethic. And what happens is somebody hits a wall. What do I do next? How do I do this?
Yeah.
COVID, whatever excuse, if you will.
It can be anything really that hangs you up. Yes.
Anything that's a but, or but is the big one, because that really negates all your successes when you say, I want to be a millionaire, but COVID got in my way. Well, you just totally negated that.
Right.
Millionaire. So it's that being able to shift your focus so that then you can, just forward.
Right. No, that's so true. That is so true. And the thing that's so great about what you're doing is you are giving people, like we said, the tools and really a system that they can apply and implement. And that's the same with a coach. We give people a system, a process. We have the path, right? I always say, when you are trying to just figure it all out, when you're trying to fix yourself, when you're trying to do all of those things, it is literally like dumping 100,000 piece puzzles in the middle of a floor and saying, okay, put them all together.
Oh, that visual.
I know. I came up with that years ago and I use it all the time, but it's so true, because that's when people think, oh, I can do it by myself. Oh, I can figure it out. Oh, we just do not know what we don't know. And it's filtering through all the stuff. Sometimes you might never learn it because you don't even know what to look for.
Right. 100%. And so it makes sense to find somebody that has the success that you want and coach with them, model yourself after them, do in NLP. We are huge about modeling, that is what attracted me to you, right? Is your success. And I'm like, ooh, I want to go after that. And so another one of my people that I follow is Eleanor Roosevelt. I know she's not with us. However, we just had this conversation the other day. If I could sit down and have a coaching session with somebody, who would it be? And I'm like, right on Eleanor, because I think that woman was a woman way ahead of her time. And one of the things that I struggled with, my sign even kind of denotes that behind me, is I did not, number one, have a voice. That then I very sparingly used it. And now I can tell you I own it. I own it. Even if it is an apology for something that I, whatever, but I can own that voice now and be very comfortable with that. And I believe that woman, she did that. Oh, yeah, she's my.
I love it. One of the things too that I think, so we talked about NLP can help you increase your sales, but it can also help you get past fear. A lot of times when people get into a coaching, consulting, professional services business, they don't realize everything that they're going to have to do to build that business, right? And so along the way, they're afraid to reach out and talk to people that could be clients. They're afraid to put themselves out there. They're afraid to market. They're afraid to even sell. A lot of times, even in the sales conversation, they're afraid. They're fearful. They're afraid to raise their prices. I go through this all the time with my clients. Helping them own their value and what they bring to the market and to their clients, and really increasing, what they're charging. And all of those things, when you're up leveling, all of those things can come into play, and they can stop your success from even getting off the ground. NLP can help with that, right? It can really help with that mindset piece.
Yes, that's actually one of the things that I love the most about NLP is it's called timeline therapy. That's one of the processes that we teach. And it's going back and learning things that then, like fear. Fear is a perfect example. and it's like taking fear back to the very first time you experienced fear. It's a whole unconscious process. And when you look at that fear, it's only to learn positive lessons and only about you. And that's just the beauty of it, because it's not something that then keeps you stuck. How cool is it to know that when you've had your first experience fear, you recognize through that you are a survivor, that you have a voice, that you can do great things, whatever it is. It's different for every single person, but whatever that is, then you take that, I'm a survivor, I'm powerful, I am destined for greatness. And you can take that, and whenever you get stuck in that little fear, whenever that kicks in again, you just kind of go,
but you can own it. You can really own it. You can get it into your spirit where you just really, nobody can stop you.
Right. It's that whole thing of what you feed grows, starve dies. And neuroscience tells us what we tell ourselves becomes our reality. And I think that's some things that is a very hard concept for people to understand sometimes, is we are creating our own reality. We do that all the time. And it's all by what we're thinking and then what we're putting out to the world. When people say, well, I knew that was going to happen. Hello.
Right.
Kind of design that in your mind.
Yes.
It is true too. I knew I was going to be successful. Of course you did.
Right.
You've been talking that into yourself for, however long, years.
One of the other things too, and I don't know if it was something you said, but it got me thinking, one of the other things that having this training in particular, it can keep you ignited, right? One of the things is people can, if they get stuck, they get down. If they get stuck, they get stressed. And all of those things put out your flame. They don't ignite your flame.
Right.
And so when you have the tools and the process, you can now always, you can take a step back and you can reignite that thing, that flame that can get you going again. And that's really where that growth comes from. And that's the difference in people that have personal growth. They're always seeking personal growth. They're very self-aware of what they do and what they don't do. And I don't know really how to explain it. I'm probably not really describing it well. Does it make sense what I'm trying to say?
Oh, yes. 100%, because we project out to the world. So let's call it a trigger, right? So an example of a trigger, I'll just totally put myself out here. In complete transparency, a trigger was somebody that I used to work for. And when I would think of him, I would, and if even somebody asked me about him, I was very unkind as to what I said about him. I'll just be completely transparent until I went, what about this is about me? Because you can't see in somebody something that doesn't exist in you or is about to exist in you. So I had to look at him and go, where is arrogance showing up in my life? Where am I displaying that? Because it's about me. It's never about the other person. And when I kind of went, oh, and I called him egotistical. Where's my ego showing up in my life? Talk about humbling to your knees. And that is what I love about NLP, is that it teaches you, number one, we do the best we can with the tools we have. And if we can embrace that, we also call that the forgiveness clause, because when things happen in your life and happen to you in your life, and you can look at that person that created that in your life and you can say, I recognize that they were doing the very best they could with the tools they had.
Right.
And then you can forgive them.
Yes.
Right? And so what happened for me was I recognized I only had a limited amount of tools, and I was not okay with that. I had to learn more. I had to know more. I had to be able to, I had read, Max Lucado had a book, I don't even remember the name of it, but the one line that I will never forget that he said, God loves you right where you are. Just doesn't want you to stay there.
Yeah. That's powerful.
Yeah. And that's exactly who I am. I know that I am loved divinely right where I am right now. It's not my call to stay here. It's my call to evolve, right? Yes. To be a better Darlene tomorrow than I am today.
So you're really getting more tools in your toolbox, and we should always be seeking that, always. So yeah, I love that you actually brought that up. because that is people that are on a path of consistent self growth. A lot of times people, you mentioned arrogance and being egotistical. A lot of times people look at people that, have done so much. It's kind of like you come across someone that's got 3 PhDs. Okay. They've worked hard for those 3 PhDs, and all of a sudden you don't feel quite as accomplished. Right. And so the thing about people that are on this path of growth and self-awareness, and they seem like they are above other people because other people will measure themselves against that. But it's not that person's putting themselves in that place. And so maybe the arrogance and the egotistical person that you thought, maybe there was something within you that looked at them that way because of what they had accomplished. It's, jealousy is one of these things that comes out of that, right? One of those emotions that come from that place. But it's not about that person being better. It's just that they have done the work. I would say truly successful people have done a lot of inner work. They've worked hard for that personal growth, and they continue to evolve themselves. And as a result, their business evolves, other things evolve. And that's really what you're talking about, really what you're referring to. Big difference in someone that's read 1,000 books and someone that's never read one, right? There's just a difference. You can't, so it doesn't make one person better, but it does open up more opportunities to them. It does open up more impact.
Yes, absolutely. More impact in the world.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that we always say that my goal is to be a part of the transformation of the world, right? Well, that can only happen if I seek a better Darlene every single day. And if I look at somebody with 3 PhDs and I do anything less than admire them, I need to do a self-check on that.
Oh, I love that. Yes.
What is going on with me? What is the jealousy about?
Mm-hmm.
When am I going to admit that maybe I had the exact same opportunity, but I didn't want to work that hard?
Very powerful what you're saying.
Owning your part in it. That's where, for me, that's where all the growth is. What is it? Why is it that, Jim Rohn is on a stage with 5,000, well, that's not even, probably 25,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
And here I am, trying to get a speaking engagement at a chamber, let's just say, right?
Right.
So what's the difference there?
Yeah.
What has he invested that I'm not investing?
Yes.
Hard work, time, putting myself out there, moving past the fear. I mean, it could be a whole entourage of anything. Right?
I mean, anyone can have success if they're willing to do what it takes to get it. That's it, right? I mean, that's the reality of it.
Yep. I say success leaves clues.
Yes, it does.
You just get to look at somebody who is successful and check out their clues that they're leaving us.
I love it. I love it. Wow, we've gone into some deep stuff today. I think this is probably one of the deepest podcasts I've had, but I think it's so important because there's no shortage of things out there for people to better themselves, to be better, to get better. There are people that can help. There are tools that can help. There's so many things, but at the end of the day, you have to not just learn, but you have to take the action. You have to apply it. You have to continue to seek. We've covered a lot of things here that can really help people move up that success ladder for themselves. And you said something to me one day when we were talking. You said something about, I want to be a better version of myself today than I was yesterday. That is probably a really great quote to almost wrap this up. To be a better version of yourself today than you were yesterday, and tomorrow to be a better version than you were today. So I love that.
It doesn't have to be earth-shattering. One thing, what is going to make me better today than the Darlene that showed up yesterday?
Yeah.
One thing, and then just know you're on the right path.
I love it. I love it. Anything else you want to share before we close this out?
No, just something that you said I was thinking about. It's bringing awareness. So being open to awareness. And then when you're aware, whatever that is, my business isn't going where I want to, or I didn't get that sale because of whatever that is. And then acknowledging it.
Mm-hmm.
didn't get that sale because I was inattentive or I didn't do the numbers right or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But being aware and then acknowledging it, that's what leads us to action, or leads us to action. Is then we can take all the action in the world or not. Mm-hmm. Choice is a powerful thing, right?
Yes. And we are responsible for everything, good and bad, that happens to us. I always tell the people that I work with, my clients, look, the buck stops with you. If your business doesn't succeed, that's on you, because you're the one making the decisions. You're the one doing the work or not doing the work. You're the leader at the helm of your ship, right? So it stops with me. It stops with you. It stops with all of us when we are running a business, trying to run our life, be successful, relationships. It really doesn't make any difference. Right. Nobody is controlling us. We are doing that for ourselves. So it's having the right tools, making the right decisions, and realizing that we're responsible.
We are responsible for ourselves, no one else.
There's very little that happens to us, really, right? What is it? 1% happens to us. 99% happens because of the choices that we make.
Yeah. Or I would even say for us, based on the choices that we made.
That's true. That's true. This is great. Darlene, we'll put all of your information in the show notes so people can get a hold of you. But she is on LinkedIn. She's on Facebook. You can reach out to her and reach her, follow her. She's starting to really rise and shine online. And building her influence so that everyone online can see what all these people offline have been seeing for a very, very long time. She's got so much to offer and bring to the world. She's a great coach. She's a great teacher, and she's a great person. And so you will love her. So definitely follow her. Anything else that you want to add before we shut down?
I don't think so.
All right.
I just really appreciate spending time with you in whatever fashion that looks like. And I'm just super excited. I
know this will give people a lot of value. This will. So these are organic conversations. You never know where they're going to lead. It's one of the reasons I love interviewing experts, because you just never know what gold nuggets you're going to pull out of their head and have a great conversation around. So everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Expert in You. Please like and comment if you enjoyed the show, and invite someone else to subscribe to the channel as well and listen to the show. So thank you for being here. If you need strategic help with your business, not mindset help, but strategic help with your business, or you're stuck and you need a better strategy, a better way to grow, then please book a call with me at acarden.com and let's have a conversation about how I can help you. You all have an amazing day. God bless you. And until next week, bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks.
If you've enjoyed this episode, I want to invite you to go check out a free training that I have at expertinu.us. It is a training that I have on how you can get ultra premium dream clients, scale your business, get more freedom, and really simplify your business and multiply your money. So go check that out. And again, that is expertinu.us. I want to thank you for being here with me this week. I hope you found massive value. Please always leave a comment, feedback, or a question. We check them all. And I want you to go rock your business, and make sure you join us again next week. God bless you. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye.